taking up too much room.
Well, we can clean the house.
Very well presented.
Who Slim has the same hat that he showed up at homecoming. Slim had the same hat that you had back in 1939. I was going to say 52, Slim, but 39. And Bunny Bass, who I have a letter from Bunny. Bunny was either the first or the second ski club president. Still on the board of directors, Larry? Bunny Bass? Still on the board of directors of Sugarloaf Mountain Corporation. And Bunny made it as far as Turner this afternoon, and according to his daughter, it wasn't Bunny that decided to turn around, but Mrs. Bass that said, hey Bunny, we better turn around and go back. And first Bunny wrote me a letter and said that he regretted that he couldn't be here tonight because he had other commitments. And then he called us the other day and said, and talked to my wife and said he was all excited that he could be here, and then because of the storm he couldn't be. And I know, and I'm speaking I think for Bunny right now, I know that he would have enjoyed being here and seeing all of the people that have turned out for this. But I'd like to have Wes Marco and Slim Melvin come up, and I don't know what Wes is going to talk about because we really haven't discussed that, but he'll tell you something maybe about Phillips, Maine, and some of the Phillips kids. Wes, are you still here? Wes? Now, Wes came all the way up from Bath today. Wes wasn't going to be here either because he has to take his daughter back to Boston in the morning, but he's made some special arrangements to be here with you this evening, too. Wes Marco.
Well, there's been so much talk about, in the beginning, end quote, about the development of Sugarloaf, but the Bigelow boys probably have a very good handle on what happened in the beginning. They had the place over on Bigelow, and Amos had widened out the Appy Trail from between Little Bigelow and Bigelow, so it was skiable in places. There was one place I remember distinctly that I was side-slipping down, and I had 7.3 skis, and my tips hit and my tails hit. And he says, God, Marco, I didn't cut this trail for long skis. Anyone who knows Amos knows that that's just the way he'd retort to something like that, you know. It was, if he liked you, or if he knew you, he was quite sarcastic and caustic about everything, you know. And if he didn't like you, he was very polite. But if he liked you, I remember cutting the trail up here, and Stubb can verify this, that, gee, he'd make you stay right till it was pitch dark, you know, and we had 100 miles to drive to go home, but he wanted another tree cut. And the first time in the beginning, like I said, when I climbed Bigelow with Amos and Stubb, I think Stubb was 14 years old. You know how long ago that was. And we got about up where the gondola line, gondola mid-station is, and it started to freezing rain like it did today. They had a little inversion at that time, and it started to freezing rain, and it would rain all, you know, you'd shake yourself and it would come off in big sheets. And anyway, we didn't really like, Stubb said he couldn't find his way out of the woods, you know. Ellen told him that. But we didn't dare to come back down through the swamp, because there is a swamp down there, there used to be anyway. And so we slabbed around the mountain, and Stubb found an A on an exposed rock, which was the Appalachian Mountain Trail. And we came back down, right? You remember that? There was a half-inch of ice on my car, too. Anyway, that was in the beginning. But I think what most of you people might be interested in is a little story about one of the first races we had on Sugarloaf. And we had been holding races at Farmington, and give Farmington the credit for having started serious racing in Maine, because we had races for 4 or 5 years before we had any up here to Sugarloaf. But of course, Sugarloaf in its size and eminence took over the major races after that. But we got a lot of people from Farmington, and we brought up all the flags we had in Farmington, and we had a giant slalom. And about 3/4 of the way up the mountain, well, it would be beyond where the midway station is on the gondola line, we ran out of slalom poles. And this was kind of a giant slalom, but not as you know it today, because we used single poles. But anyway, we had some hatchets with us, so we cut some little spruce and limbed them off, and we didn't get them limbed very closely, you know, because we were in a hurry. We'd tie a ribbon around it, you know, and we get up into the snowfield, which is about where the upper part of 5 is, bubble cover over in that area, and we started from there. And these upper gates had little sharp nubbles sticking out, as you can imagine, where you cut off a frozen spruce, and it's really sharp. One of the first races was a fellow by the name of Grady Erickson, and he was coach of Coney High at the time, and he was a pole basher, like the kids are today, as you noted. And well, anyway, Grady started out, and about the second gate, he really got his arm right out there and knocked that pole out of the way. You know, he never hit another one till he got to the bottom. I think he cut his arm half off. So, you know, you could go on and tell little stories about Sugarloaf. I think one cute little story is the first year that we cut the tote road in here, and we corduroyed the swamp down there, you remember, and we had a camp over by the brook. Well, right in this area somewhere. And it was what Amos called a muzzle loading camp, because you had to get in from the foot on the bunks. There was no aisle to get into the bunks with. And we had a lot of modern accommodations then. We had 2 maple trees falling down across the brook. One was this high and one was this high. And you know what they were for. It was our toilet we used, and it had good sanitary conditions because it all went down the brook. Anyway, you know, you could go on and tell stories like that, but I don't think that any of us want to dwell too much in the past. I'll be 70 in a little while, and I never think of the past too much. It makes you old. What you want to do is think of today and tomorrow. And what can we do, like for the ski, like Danny says, for the ski club today? What can we do for today to help tomorrow out for the ski club? And you know, with all these people here, you could run a pretty good race.
Gave it to you. Where's your wife? What that cost back in 1939? That was an expensive hat back in 1939. Slim continues to work for the ski club. Comes up on a number of races, downhills, all of them. Okay, and you go back again. You go back in the records, 50. Well, I don't know about 1950, but 1954, 55.
47 we used to start coming over here.
47, okay, so I'm wrong again. You're going to find, you know, Walter Melvin's name there, and this is, you know, the type of individual that has, you know, that has made Sugarloaf strong and the Sugarloaf Ski Club strong. Walter Melvin.
Thank you. Well, I can't say much. They've pretty well covered it. But I can remember starting over here with Horace Chapman from Bangor in the Jeep, and he had a top on it that he made himself. And so I had a wrench in my hand, and I used to have to keep putting it together as we drove over. And we got the road, as they said, part way in, and for a while you could get in, but the minute the frost started to go out, no more, even with a four-wheel drive Jeep. But one day we came over in the winter, and Amos says, "We're going to put you fellows to work." So we came up, and they'd plowed out a place with a dozer and had a couple of big spruce logs laid out on the ground there. He says, "We're going to start building a shelter here," he says. "You fellows are going to build it." I started. "And what you going to build it with, Aim?" "Oh," he says, "lumber's right here." It was under about 3 feet of snow. And so he started a whole gang of fellows come along, and he put them all in there with axes and shovels, banging the ice and stuff off of the lumber. And we finally finished laying the floor that night and started on the walls. And when we came back the next time, Amos had some more high-priced men come in, and they finally got it up. And it was quite a shanty, you know, I tell you. We'd get in there about 20 people, but sometimes when it rained, it leaked a little bit. People slept on the stove, slept on the tables, under the tables, and in the bunks. It was quite a time. Finally, we got along in the spring, and we were going to clapboard the walls. So we were working, and as Wes said, Name got a full day's work out of you. And we were working right up almost dark, and somebody came along and said, how can you fellas drive nails in the dark? And another fellow came along and he said, oh, he even paints the heads white so they can see them. I remember way back, I can't remember which one, first or second race, maybe the third. Amos had from New Hampshire come over.
Joe Dodge.
The mayor of Polky Gulch. Joe Dodge. Joe Dodge. Sorry, picture you the other night. See, I'm getting old. I can't remember things. And Joe had a pair of suntans and a pair of shoes. And he wallowed way up. Now this first shelter that we had was built at the end of the road that used to go into Peter Weber's hotel, right now the inn. It was right on that corner. We used to have to climb up that high banking where the maintenance buildings are now and go up through. And Joe wallowed all the way up through there in the snow to judge the race, and then wallowed back down through. And he was wet, because he'd sink till into his hips every step. But with the people that we had back then, everybody would work, and if you left anything along the trail and forgot it, somebody would bring it in for you. You didn't lose anything. It all turned up at night. It was a wonderful bunch of people that worked here, and I think they are still a wonderful bunch. We have a big group now, and they're doing a great thing. I come over and work now. I broke my hip, so I can't ski, but I come over and work all the races and try to do my part. And as Stubby was telling about the equipment we used to use, I can remember skiing Tuckermans with a pair of Griswold hickory skis without any metal edges on them. You can imagine what that was like. Thank you.
Still here, I can't believe it. Nice to meet I bet. Hey,